The top-seeded Cardinal baseball team saw their 16-game winning streak come to a crashing end last night after falling 3-2 to UConn in a first-round game at the Big East Championship. Tonight, they're taking on 5th-seeded Rutgers in an elimination game. And joining me to talk about that stunning loss and how the team can move forward is Mike Rutherford from Card Chronicle. So excited to have you on. Love reading your stuff. On yesterday's show, I said they should win it, should be an easy game. Wasn't really the case. What happened?
I think it was a case of complacency. I mean, this is a team that they really just had no problem sweeping just 2 weeks ago. I mean, they allowed one total run. They scored 2 runs in the bottom of the first to sort of get things started. And you're thinking, you know, here we go again. This is a bad team. We're going to roll. And then all of a sudden the UConn pitcher gets into a groove. He's retired 16 straight. The guys are pressing a little bit. And then all of a sudden you're being forced to use pitchers you didn't expect to use. And it really was just sort of a colossal catastrophe in the first round. It's the last thing you want to happen in a double elimination tournament because now, you know, your pitching staff's going to be strapped. You've got to win 5 straight games to win the title. So not the way they wanted to get started, but still in it for now.
Now, you mentioned in an article yesterday covering the game that this is the first time since 2008 that the top-seeded team lost in the first game. I mean, that's got to be a little bit embarrassing, right?
Especially when the Big East is so far down and you're supposed to be so far up. I mean, Louisville's the number 8 team in the country, and the Big East is not a great baseball conference. So for them to go down to a team that really they just dominated 2 weeks ago was really surprising, but there's still a lot of pride to be there. Not only has Louisville not missed the tournament since they joined the conference in 2006, they've never gone 2-0 in this tournament. So there's a lot of pride on the line tonight, you know, even more on the line than just regional implications and a Big East tournament title. It's a big deal tonight for them to win this game.
Kind of stinks that they ended that 16-game win streak. They were doing so well. But a lot of people say it's better to lose now, get it out of the way, get it out of your system, and move on and do better. Do you think they can benefit from that loss, or is it just one of those things they just brush off?
I've never really prescribed the good loss theory. I always hated hearing it. I say you want to go out there and win every game you can. Especially when you have you're 4 games short of the program's longest winning streak. But if there is such thing as a good loss, it might be here just because, you know, they've got bigger fish to fry. This is a team that's going to be playing in the NCAA tournament. They're probably going to be hosting a regional. They're probably going to be a national seed. So if there was a time for a wake-up call, this might be it. You know, at the beginning of the tournament against a team you should beat, and really with sort of a path to the championship that's still manageable. I mean, they play Rutgers, who's the 5th seed. Still is one of 2 teams that only took a series from them in the regular season. But then they've got South Florida, who they pummeled at the beginning of the year, and a UConn team that they should beat if they play again, just to get to that championship game. So it's a manageable path. They can do it. They're going to be short-staffed. But if they were going to lose, the first game to UConn's not that big of a deal.
Now, you talked about Rutgers. They do play them tonight. What do they have to do to beat them?
Well, you got to get some confidence in the bats. The top of the lineup just didn't get on base last night. They were out-hit for only the 14th time this season. It's a big start for Chad Green, too, who's been their #1 guy all year. He's 9-2. His last loss was actually that game against Rutgers, the first game of that series way back in March when he was 3-2. So he's won 6 straight since then. He needs to get started early, get into a groove, sort of let Rutgers know that, you know, you're going to be on the receiving end of a beatdown because we're a little upset from what happened last night. Get the top of the order clicking, find some guys, swing early in the count. I think they tried to do that last night and maybe pressed a little bit too hard, and that was the sort of deciding factor in that giant streak where they had 16 guys in a row sit down. So get started early, get off to a hot start, and you know, get that confidence back.
With those 12 innings, they started to deplete some of those pitchers that they did not want to use later on. If they do end up playing those 5 games in 4 days, can the pitching staff keep up? That's a lot to ask of some of these kids.
It's a big deal. It's a big question. But the good thing for Dan McDonnell is this is about as deep of a pitching staff as he's had. You said it. They used Kyle Funkhauser last night, which is a fantastic name, by the way.
I love it.
It's fantastic. He's going to be here for a couple more years, too. He's only a freshman, so get used to it. They used Dace Kime, who's really been their 4th starter. And then they had to use Nick Birdie, who's been their shutdown closer, and he went 2 1/3. So he's, you know, shelved for at least tonight, maybe Friday if they can. They're going to be short-staffed, but they do come back with Chad Green, who's been their #1 all year. They'll come back with Jeff Thompson on Friday, assuming they win, who's the biggest pitcher of the year, 10-1. So you've got your sort of 2 aces in the hole for the next 2 days. But after that, you know, some guys who maybe didn't think they were going to be called upon to pitch a lot of innings are going to have to step up. So the good news is they have guys who with a lot of experience. They have 5 different people who have started more than 5 games this season. So they've got that going for them, which is nice. But you know, it's a situation that they didn't think they were going to be in heading into the tournament. But still, you know, you got to get the bats going. It might be good for them, put a little bit of pressure on the offense.
It's always thing about postseason. You never really know how it's going to go. But if you had a crystal ball, I'm putting it on you now.
Okay.
How do you think the end of the season is going to go for Louisville?
I think it's too much of a task for them to win the tournament this weekend. I think winning 5 games over 4 days, especially when Dan McDonald has to know in the back of his mind that there are bigger fish to fry here. Exactly. He's not going to pull out of the guns. He's not going to put pitchers in a situation that's going to hurt them for next weekend. Obviously, they want to win the tournament. It's the last year in the Big East. It's a big deal regardless. You want to win, but if they can't do it with their bats, then they're not going to do it. So it's a tall task. I say they beat Rutgers tonight. They beat the loser of the South Florida UConn game. They don't make it to the championship game. They do end up hosting a regional. They're a national seed. They get out of the regionals, and then super regionals, it's all about matchups. So it's too far. That's too far to go into the crystal ball. But I think this is a team that has super regional potential. And I think they're going to get there. You
went further into that crystal ball than I could have, for sure. So good job. But they have been such a good team, and you expect a lot out of them, especially after that 16-game win streak. Do these guys get down after that loss, or like I said before, are they just brushing it off, moving on? Like, or is it one of those fluke things that they're probably like, what happened?
I think it's a little bit of both the things you said. I think it's a quick turnaround, so they're not really have time to get down. But I think last night they were probably a little bit upset. Anytime you've won 16 straight and you really didn't see that losing streak or winning streak coming to an end anytime soon, it's going to bite you a little bit. So I think Rutgers might be on the receiving end of a little bit of angst, a little bit of upset tonight. So these are the guys who've been swinging the bat really well recently, and I think they're going to come out and get aggressive early and sort of try to say, hey, last night was a fluke. Send a message to the rest of the people down there in Clearwater.
Go back to their old offensive ways, hopefully. Well, thanks, Mike. We really appreciate you coming on. Hopefully you can come on again soon, and good luck to Louisville Baseball.